Hey, it's Robin from Holstein House, and it's been a little while since I did any videos in the kitchen area of the house, and I thought today I'm going to put these herbs and things away, and I thought, let me just bring you along real quick and just talk. Maybe ramble a little bit, but share with you some of the ways that I store things and I save things that I have grown, and even things from the grocery store. But mostly right now I'm going to talk about some of the things from the herb garden, the kitchen herb garden. You may have seen some of my posts or videos about my kitchen scrap garden, which I used, and just like it sounds, it was scraps from things that I'd bought from the grocery store that would generally have roots to them. And in that scrap garden, I started some herbs. What you see here, this is thyme, this is rosemary, this is sage, this is oregano, and I did buy these plants from the grocery store and was able to keep them. They're actually, so this is October the 18th, they're actually still hanging on except for the sage. The sage I wasn't very successful with. I kept it a little while, but I didn't have a lot of luck. This is powdered leeks. I've been growing the leeks from the base, so I cut off the leeks and left just a little bit of green at the top and planted the rest in some soil, and I cut those, and you'll see I have a lot of posts and different things on that all the time, because since honestly last winter, January or February, when I bought the leeks, after I used what I needed, I put, probably about, counting the roots, probably about this much with a little bit of green in a pot. I actually had them sitting in my windowsills all winter. And when they got so tall, I'd cut them back off and I'd dehydrate them, then I'd powder them. And I use those in place of onions, just like you would leeks for anything else. But part of what I do, this is, and you can see, obviously, it's an old McCormick's spice jar. I have actually I have quite a few of these different spices and herbs that I bought when I lived at Fort Hood, Texas back in the early 80s. And I've been very careful to keep them. This was $1.25 at the time. I don't know if you can make it out. It's right there. It was $1.25. And so I go ahead and I refill these when I'm not growing my own. When I run out of those that I have grown, obviously I buy store-bought. And all I do, and I have a little piece of parchment down here, I just pull these little leaves off. And yeah, it takes a good bit. And you can powder these. You could break these stems up and powder them and use them as well, and I will do that. Or you can keep the stems in a separate jar and use them inside a chicken or something, if you don't want to go to the trouble of pulling off all of the leaves here. And I know that's kind of boring for you, and yeah, it would take quite a few to put in here, but that's what I do there. Some of those are kind of tough. They don't want to come off there. I have, in case you're wondering, a dehydrator from Cabela's. My husband, Mr. Holstein, bought me many years ago, 12 or 15 years ago, I can't remember. We've been in this house about 10 years, and I had it before I got here. So I use it not every day, but I use it at least once a week. Dehydrating things, and you can use it to proof breads, but mine doesn't have the door on the front, so I would have to cover it with plastic wrap or something. I don't want to do that. So you get the gist of that. That's how I do that. That's not very much so far, but that's what we do there. The same goes with the sage. And one of the things I want to point out with the sage is this container. This is part of my upcycling, recycling dedication. I've been doing this for a long time because it's hard to get these in glass jars anymore. What you end up with is a plastic container. And, you know, I've gone through the cycles of, well, I like plastic because they're lightweight, and then, you know, research is starting to show again that sometimes some of the plastic leaches into the foods, and so I go back to glass, so I'm bouncing those back and forth. But this was a bouillon jar similar to this, except it was chicken. This one's plastic also, but this one's glass, obviously. And it's perfect. This little jar is the perfect size for a lot of things. So you can do, I've done yogurts in these, single serve yogurts when I make yogurts. And so the sage, it goes the same way. I'll put it in there. This is rosemary. I need to get another jar for my rosemary. This is a Ball brand jar, and I don't have any affiliate codes or any sharing or anything, so I don't get anything for mentioning the brand names at all. But these are, I found these, I bought mine when they were on clearances, so I didn't pay full price for them. But they're sold in packs of 4 in the canning aisle. And I mean, you can use them for anything, but they are really good for your home herbs and spices that you're keeping. They're really good size for that. Oh, well, the leaves were the same way. Obviously, I reuse these types of jars. Now this, I bought this at the thrift shop. I've already wiped the price off of it. I don't remember how much it was. It was already cleaned out. So a lot of times you'll see these with wax because they're used for candles. It feels to me like it's one of those, but it was already cleaned out. And see, the lid has been, that part has been melted. I don't really care about that because I'm just trying to keep critters out, and that's enough to keep the critters out. And of course we have your old school ball wire mason jars. And this has some oregano in it. The oregano plant I did buy. I bought it at the local big box store back in the spring. I did get new rubbers for these because, let me undo this and show you. If I can get it off of there. Wait a minute. There we go. This one actually didn't come with the rubbers on it, the rubber seals here. And you can find those on that big box store in the internet. You can probably find them other places too. And I think they come a dozen in a box. But I have a lot of these of different sizes that did not come with the rubbers on them because they were drug out of Grandma's basement or whatever the storyline was. And I love to use them. I do keep them too. I have some that are up in the window. I don't know if you'll see this one or not. This blue one I got. This is a more recent. It's actually a bicentennial edition. So back in 1976 when we had the bicentennial, everybody was doing bicentennials. But it's made to look like the old blue jars. That's the same way. And I replaced those rubbers too. But anytime I get those type of jars, here's a really dark blue one. I love these. I love these. This is a quart one. It's also a bicentennial. I don't know if you can make out the eagle here, but that was the big deal. But anytime I get these, I try to get... now this one says made in Italy on the bottom. I don't know if you can see it. And then it says 1965, so it wasn't our bicentennial. Unless that is the patent date. I don't know. But anyway, I love this. Again, I got it at a thrift shop. It was fun to find. And I like to keep them in my windows because they look pretty when the sun comes through. Get up there, you. Sorry about my arm being in the way. See my loofah that's drying here. I grew the loofah. Let me see if I can, let me show you one. Here's a good one. It's my first year growing loofah. I've got these hanging to dry, and they still have some seeds in them. I got to shake those seeds out. And then I think they're going to be gifts to my guests. Because, you know, some of you know that I have a room that I let out on Airbnb. This is one of the loofah that I'm growing. I got to, I'll process it in the oven. I'll put it in the oven for about 350. I'll cut it up. But about 350 for 20 minutes. And the skin comes off. And these things are really slimy and gooey. And you got to wash them really good. And then you hang them to dry. I hung my first batch outside to dry, and it was wonderful because it was still hot out. And then we had a rainstorm come through, and then they kind of got moldy. So I'll use them for my own stuff. I won't try to give those away, but I've got those ready. But the sizzling you heard, I got the pressure cooker going. Oh, something else I wanted to show you. So I raised kale, spinach, and Swiss chard this year in my garden. Kale I've done before. I love kale. Spinach I've never tried on my own. Swiss chard I've never tried on my own. But this is, I dehydrated after I took as much as I could off of the stems of the kale. I dehydrated the rest of this. I'm going to zap this in this little coffee grinder. I got this at the thrift shop too. I ended up paying $2.50 for it. And I really like it. Let's see. Somebody asked me one time, why do you do all that stuff over by your sink and your stove? Well, it has to do with outlets. This old house doesn't have a lot of outlets in it. So I'll take, and I'll put some of this in here just so I can show you. And you can find these little things at thrift shops all over the place. I would, if I were you, because I do, dedicate one only to herbs and things and spices to grind down. I have another one that I use for coffee. I don't often get whole bean coffee, but I do keep a little bit. And when I want, to do that, I have a separate one for that because the oils in the coffee can contaminate your spices. But anyway, so I just do this. Now, not all of that. You could hear it clacking because the not all of the stems broke down good. Oh, and if you do this with mushrooms, if you dehydrate mushrooms and do this, wear a mask around your face because you'll inhale the mushroom dust. So you see, this isn't finished. I'd do it some more, but it gets it ground down. And then I'll sift it through a small sifter. Like this. Into my green powder jar, and I'll use that. I'll put it in soup and stuff, trying to sneak in a little extra vitamins and fiber. I use this in when I do a smoothie. I use this in a smoothie. And it's all kinds of greens. It's not just kale. There's spinach, there's Swiss chard, there's kale. Anything that's got a green leaf. Lettuce if before my lettuce gets really old, if I'm not going to use it all, I'll dehydrate the lettuce and do that with it. Oh, the dogs are after probably the mailman. I don't know. But so that's what I do. So that's a couple trays of stems and pieces there. And I'll finish that out later. Kind of got messy here, but that's kind of what I do around here. Oh, I want to show you these lids. So I've bought in my life several dozen of the yogurts that go in this. It's OUI, O-U-I. And I've done a couple different things for lids. Where is one of mine? Oh, here they are. So from that same big box store online, I ordered these lids. And when I make my own yogurt, I'll put them in here and put these lids on them. Or I did find these lids, these silicone lids, on that same big box store. They stretch fairly well. They're a little loose on the yogurt jars, but that's okay. They were more cost efficient than getting more of the other ones. And if it fits good and tight, you can do this and get a little bit of a seal going on in here. This will probably let go because they're not that tight. But I use those. I reuse all kinds of stuff. Of course, I reuse my mason jars. I'm not a big fan of just taking my mason jars and making crafts or storing buttons and bows and rocks and stuff in them. I want my mason jars to be for my food supplies and things. So maybe that's my bad. I don't think so, but that's just me. You don't have to do that. I think really that's about it, about all I can show you. I mean, you don't really want to sit here and watch me pick through these and put them up. But I did want to show it to you, did want to share it with you, and kind of try to encourage you. I'd love, if you have any questions, I'd love to hear your questions on dehydrating. On these, I made frames, and it's really ugly. Do you want to see it? I can show you the frames I made, but they're not real pretty looking right now. I got to tidy them up. I made this frame, actually there's 3 of them, from a wooden picture frame and some window screen. And I hang these to air dry my herbs and things. And right now those are some parsley on there, so that's why I got to clean them off. There's my precious few little garlics that didn't do real well this year. I've never grown garlic either, and they didn't do too good. The chickens kept getting in them. I didn't think chickens bothered garlic, but they may have had ants down in them. But you can see I put some, I don't know if you can tell it or not. I put some little, let me see, right there. Those little eyelets I put in there and then tied them up. I mean, it serves its purpose. It's not pretty at all. I understand that. I'm not worried about it being pretty because it serves its purpose. But the herbs and things that are too delicate to go in the dehydrator, even on low, I put on there and I hang them here in the kitchen and I just leave them. And then they do this. That's what these came off of. So I could have picked the leaves off of these, and I probably should have, but I didn't. And I could have picked the needles off of this rosemary, but I didn't. I'll get to that now. But these things, they just air dried. That's all they did. They sit on those screens up there. And it takes a couple weeks or so. These have been up here a little longer, but it's just because of my time of day. They don't use any electricity when you do that. You can hang it outside if you want. My problem with it being outside is bugs, varmints, dampness, if a rainstorm comes up. If you know it's going to be dry, oops, sorry. Pressure cooker kicking off. If you know it's going to be dry, then, and you're going to be around, You can do that. You also run the risk of wind blowing your stuff off, because the wind would have picked this up and blown it off in no time. This is a little heavier, but it may have done it too. And birds and stuff. So I have a place here in the kitchen that it hangs, and you know, when I bring things in after I wash them up, if I'm going to dry them like this, I just, you know, wash them up and put them on there. So I'm going to get off here now. And I've had fun sharing this with you, and I hopefully I'll get it posted fairly quick. I'm awfully bad about recording things and not getting them posted till later. But I've really enjoyed it. I'd love to hear your questions or comments or suggestions. So I've got to get these all done up. I've got a bunch of eggs to clean and put up, and take care of this beef stew that I've got in the pressure cooker. Everything was already done. I just had to mix it together. Leftover beef stew. So it's leftover beef and carrots and corn and stuff. I pressure cooked it for about 5 minutes just to, you know, make sure everything gets hot all the way through. And then I'm going to set it on slow cook while I do everything else, and it'll be ready for dinner. I haven't decided whether to fix cornbread. I think I will fix cornbread, because I haven't fixed cornbread in a long time. But if you'd like to see me, if you'd like to see how I make something, well, if you'd like to see how I prepare something, how I use things, drop me a note. I'll see it, and we'll see if we can't get back on track with some more videos. I do need to dehydrate. Oh, I don't think you'd want to watch. Do you think you'd really want to see me blanch green peppers to dehydrate and freeze? Meaning dehydrate, and freeze. Because the dehydrated ones wouldn't be put in the freezer. But if you would, just let me know. I'd love to find out. I may go ahead and do it anyway. We'll see. But I'm going to go now, and I'm going to get these put away and get this cleaned up and see what we can get into next time. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for your likes, your shares, and your subscribes. I'm so glad you stayed all the way through. It's really hard to know whether people enjoy what you put out there or not. I'd love to hear from you. The thumbs up will help me know. And of course, the algorithms, blah, blah, blah. You get tired of hearing that. But if you'd like to know more, or some of my other social media places, go to robinholstein.com and go to the contacts tab. And you'll see all my social media places there, and, you know, Telegram group, and obviously Facebook and X and all of the things. Nostr. I'm on Nostr. Should look me up. But I'll let you go. And again, thank you for stopping by. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.